Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through all the noise and really focus on the key insights from some important research, helping you make sense of this incredibly fast-changing world.
It really is moving quickly. Technology seems to be reshaping, well, everything, how we work, how we live.
Exactly. And the sheer amount of information out there can be overwhelming. So today, we're taking a deep dive into some, frankly, fascinating sources you've provided. They lay out a really bold vision for how to navigate this digital age.
That's right. The mission, as I see it, is to unpack these ideas together. We're looking at a whole new economic paradigm. They call it the Digital Sustainable Growth Model, or DSGM.
And right at the heart of it, there's this specific application, something called BankRabbna. It sounds quite groundbreaking.
It does, and it all circles back to this fundamental question.
How do we actually thrive, not just survive, but really innovate in a world that's increasingly digital, increasingly shaped by AI?
That really is the core challenge. And these sources, they start by saying, look, we need to fundamentally redefine our economic reality first. They suggest we're moving, and pretty rapidly, from what they call a 2D economy to a 3D economy.
Okay, 2D versus 3D. I'm kind of picturing like a flat map versus a hologram or something. What's the real shift here?
That's a great way to put it, actually. The old 2D economy, well, it viewed labor markets very simply. Time and place, people were sort of static contributors, cogs in the machine, maybe.
Right, fixed points.
Exactly. But this 3D economy adds this crucial new dimension, virtual spaces. Value isn't just created in physical locations anymore. And here's the kicker. Individuals aren't just labor. The sources call them talent, dynamic, multidimensional agents, people who can grow, contribute continuously, especially in these new digital spaces.
That sounds much more alive, more potential there. But interestingly, the sources throw a curveball right away, this welfare growth paradox.
Yes, it's really counterintuitive, isn't it?
Totally. We're always told GDP growth equals good. But this suggests it can create more social fragility.
It's a really powerful point they make. The paradox is that just chasing GDP growth, which we usually see as progress, can actually weaken the social fabric. And that fragility, it ends up threatening the very innovation and stability we wanted in the first place. It's like building a taller building on shaky ground, eventually.
A whole thing's at risk.
Yeah.
Okay, and they use Finland as a specific example of this.
No, a stark one. Despite Finland's economic successes, the sources highlight this growing welfare sustainability gap.
Meaning?
Declining birth rates, rising national debt, the usual suspects, but amplified. And they bring in this concept, sisu inflation, as part of the problem.
Sisu inflation. That sounds specific. What is it?
It describes the sort of exaggerated individualism, which paradoxically can lead to people feeling more isolated. And it fosters what they call cognitive rigidity, makes society less flexible, less open to new ideas, even while the economy's ticking up on paper.
So the old ways of measuring and thinking just aren't working.
Precisely. Traditional economics, they argue, just can't keep up with the speed of things like generative AI or the massive immediate disruptions it's causing in the labor market.
Right. So we need a new playbook. And the sources do offer some pretty concrete recommendations for economists, for policymakers. What are the main actions needed?
Yeah, they lay out about 5 key shifts. First, stop talking about labor and start talking about talent assets. Value the skills, the ideas, the data directly.
Okay, talent assets. Makes sense.
Second, new metrics. We need ways to measure things beyond GDP, like how do you measure talent, creativity?
Good question. Third.
Big investment in digital infrastructure, high-speed internet everywhere, yes, but also things like decentralized platforms, the plumbing for this new economy.
Got it.
Fourth, rethink education completely. Lifelong learning has to be the default, and governance needs to be more adaptive, more decentralized. They even mentioned blockchain and AI potentially playing a role there.
Interesting. And the last one?
It's about recognizing later life. It's not an endpoint for contribution anymore. It's an opportunity for continued economic input, especially through these digital platforms.
So if the old frameworks are broken, what's the proposed new blueprint? This is where the Digital Sustainable Growth Model, the DSGM, comes in, right?
Yeah.
It sounds incredibly ambitious.
It really is. The DSGM is presented as this comprehensive framework. Its goals are threefold. Foster innovation, scale it up effectively, and this is critical, manage the huge risks that come with artificial general intelligence, AGI.
Manage AGI risk.
Yeah. The core idea is to digitally automate endogenous growth. Basically, bake innovation into the system itself. Make it continuous, internal.
That's a huge goal.
Yeah.
what holds this DSGM framework together? What are its main parts?
It's built on three key pillars, conceptually. First, you've got sustainable growth theory.
Okay.
This theory sees data, interestingly, as a new form of energy driving society and the economy forward. It suggests shifting from our current labor tax focus to data value transactions.
So your data, your insights, become directly valuable.
Exactly. Imagine getting value directly for your creative contributions. The second pillar is the sustainable state model.
Right.
This imagines a next-generation welfare model.
Yeah.
Think peace, personalized care, continuous innovation, all built in.
And the third.
That's the tech backbone. Sustainable growth technology. They call it growth media, which I think is quite evocative.
Growth media, like social media, but for progress.
Kind of. Think of it as this massive multi-part digital network. It empowers everyone, individuals, groups, industries, to use their data to solve problems, to drive growth. It's the engine powering this whole thing.
So it's definitely not just about tweaks for efficiency, it's a bigger vision.
Much bigger. The focus is squarely on sustainable growth, risk mitigation, and inclusivity. And it integrates AI tools. I mentioned one called Maestro, which is basically this next-gen digital welfare model.
Maestro.
Yeah. And the idea isn't to replace current efforts, but to enhance them. There's also a strategic angle, aiming for Asian digital leadership, attracting investment.
Okay, we've talked big picture, frameworks, theories, but how does this actually, touch the ground? This is where BankRabbna comes in, isn't it? The sources seem to frame it as absolutely central to the DSGM.
Totally central. It's described explicitly as an integral part of the DSGM. And get this, the sources refer to it as BankRabbna as AH, artificial humanity.
Artificial humanity, that's a loaded term. What does that actually mean in this context? Is it an AI trying to be human, or is it about enabling human stuff?
It's definitely the second one. The sources are clear. Existing banks, even the digital ones, haven't really figured out how to handle these new forms of value skills, data, innovation, or how to let people trade them easily.
So there's a gap.
A big one. BankRabbna steps into that gap. It's not about mimicking humans. It's about providing the digital infrastructure to amplify human potential and value creation. That's the artificial humanity aspect, as I understand it.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So let's break it down. How does it actually provide value to someone using it? The sources mention three main categories.
Right. Three key areas. First up is human development.
Human development. From a bank.
Yeah. It sounds broad, but it focuses on your well-being. Think innovative health solutions, new kinds of insurance. They even mention a novel concept to encourage private investment in health. Plus, things like informal education programs to boost lifelong learning. It's about investing in you.
Wow. Okay, investing in the person. What's the second category?
That's economic empowerment. This is about helping you use your innovative skills.
Oh.
Things like support for starting a business, incubation for startups, connecting people in marketplaces, helping with recruitment, finding freelance gigs. It's designed to be a catalyst for entrepreneurial endeavors, basically helping you turn ideas into reality.
So a launch pad for creators and entrepreneurs. Got it. And the third one, financial evolution, you said that's where it gets really different.
Yeah, this is arguably the most groundbreaking part. It introduces a whole system for monetizing various forms of data.
Monetizing data?
Through a flexible share system. You can convert regular currency into these shares. Then you can use those shares to transact seamlessly across different pools, talent pools, data repositories, investment portfolios, whatever.
So I could earn shares for, say, contributing a unique data set, and then trade those shares.
That's the idea. And these shares can apparently be easily liquidated back into any standard currency. It also aims to help traditional financial institutions manage client investments with potentially less risk and better returns using this system. It really is rethinking how value flows.
But that's a fundamental shift. And how flexible is this BankRabbna meant to be? Does it work everywhere?
It's designed as a highly versatile app. It can help manage debt, mitigate digital risks we'll talk about, and protect users globally. Interestingly, the name Rabbna hints at its design being compatible with Islamic finance principles, like being riba-free, avoiding interest.
Okay, that's significant reach.
And crucially, they state it aligns with all 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. That shows the sheer breadth of impact they're aiming for.
It sounds incredibly powerful, almost utopian, which inevitably brings us to the risks, right? The sources don't shy away from the dangers of digitalization and this whole human-AI interaction.
No, they definitely don't. And it raises that critical question, how do we manage this power responsibly? They introduced something called Shalaby's classification for digital hazards.
Shalaby's classification.
Okay. It breaks down the risks into 7 main types. There are the direct physiological and psychological impacts, think technostress, digital addiction, cognitive disruption, then technical issues with devices, problems with interfaces like VR or AR, humanoid robots.
And the content itself.
Huge category. Misinformation, but also just hyper-information being constantly bombarded.
Yeah, we all feel that.
And then there are the risks baked into the algorithms themselves.
Right. What kind of algorithmic dangers are we talking about? That seems central.
Absolutely. This covers major concerns like privacy violations, algorithmic bias, where the tech actually makes inequalities worse.
Unfortunately common.
And really worrying cognitive implications. Things like becoming too mentally complacent, our own judgment declining, creativity and critical thinking eroding because we rely too much on the tech.
And a really big one.
And yes, the potential existential risks from a hypothetical superintelligent AGI down the line, they put that under the algorithm category too.
And these aren't just future worries. The sources mention experts like Sadalisa Poninaho pointing to a worrying statistical increase right now in mental health problems, social agitation, even violence linked to how we use digital tech and smartphones.
Exactly. These are present dangers, which is why the DSGM framework proposes a specific mitigation strategy.
Okay, what's the proposed solution?
An AI-based risk scoring system. The idea is to integrate this system into digital platforms. It would monitor interactions, quantify the risk based on that Shalaby classification we mentioned, and crucially provide transparency to the user.
So it tells you your risk level.
Yeah, and potentially offers personalized suggestions for mitigating it. Maybe adjusting your screen time, changing notification settings, things like that. It would keep a log, helping you proactively manage your digital well-being.
Now, what I found genuinely fascinating and maybe differentiates these sources is how heavily they lean into ethics and spirituality. They argue these aren't optional extras for developing AI, especially AGI. They see them as foundational and integral.
It's a really striking perspective, isn't it? It forces a deeper question about the values we're building into these systems.
Definitely. How do they frame that integration?
They argue pretty strongly that it's a must to integrate the spiritual domain as an integral part of its intelligence if AGI is ever going to reach its true potential.
And what does spiritual domain mean here?
They suggest it includes things beyond pure logic, intuition, creativity, crucially moral reasoning. They specifically mention Islam as potentially offering a divine framework for this continuous intelligence development, for upholding ethics, for regulating information flows.
So connecting AI development to a specific spiritual framework.
Yes, presenting it as one potential model. The core argument seems to be that current AI lacks a sense of purpose, and that integrating this deeper dimension is vital.
And the ultimate aim described is very ambitious.
Extremely. The sources articulate the goal as guiding humanity to cross the sustainability gap between the earth and heaven realm as a peaceful, perfect Muslim, and helping non-Muslims to be free to make free spiritual choices and material coexist in peace.
That's a profound vision.
It is. This idea of spiritual purpose is positioned as essential for creating AI that's not just smart, but genuinely aligned with deep human values and our whole experience.
Wow. Okay, what a journey in this deep dive. We started with this fundamental shift 2D to 3D economy, driven by digital tech and AI.
Right, understanding that new landscape.
Then we explored the DSGM, this huge comprehensive framework designed to foster innovation, scale it, but also manage those massive AGI risks.
Trying to build a sustainable model for that future.
And then we zoomed in on BankRabbna, not just an app, but envisioned as this artificial humanity, a practical tool meant to revolutionize how we value things, how we interact financially, how we invest in human well-being, all integral to the DSGM.
It really brings those big ideas down to a potential application. And it shows, as the sources argue, that these huge challenges, digital risks, economic imbalances, might actually be tackled with these kinds of integrated, value-driven solutions.
So thinking about all this, what does it mean for you listening right now? In a world where, as the sources say, knowledge is one of the most important things we can acquire, and innovation, one of the most important activities we can pursue.
Yeah, what does it really mean to grasp your own innovation style, your own value in this emerging 3D economy?
Especially when we start thinking about AI not just as a clever tool, but maybe, just maybe, as a potential partner that could be deeply aligned with our values, our experiences, perhaps even guiding us towards a more purposeful future. Lots to think about there.